Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I'd do a little bit of a different type of video. I wanted to do a story time. It's my first ever story time on a specific paranormal experience that happened in the house that I'm living in right now. It's something I've wanted to talk about for the last year, but I've just been too scared to talk about it because I've been nervous that if I talked about it I would piss it off, I guess, which is still a possibility, but I'm taking my chance. So if you want to hear what happened and you're feeling brave enough, switch on a light so you feel safe, and yeah, let's get into it. So there's one specific story I've got in mind that I want to tell you guys, but I'm going to start from the beginning because there's just a few little things that have happened over the last 2.5 years that I've lived here, and they are pretty creepy. So yeah, I'm actually sweating right now because I'm nervous to make this video because I don't want to make anyone mad, and it's nighttime right now and I'm by myself and I'm very conscious that I can see behind me in the viewfinder, and yeah, that scares me a little bit. Okay, so I started living here about 2.5 years ago, and the whole house is pretty busy with, you know, different ghosts, whatever you want to call it. But the main thing I'm going to focus on today is my bedroom because that's where I spend the most time, and for me personally that's where I've experienced the most things. So when I very first started living here, probably the first thing that happened that really freaked me out, and it happened for quite a few months, was every time we weren't in the bedroom, say if we were out for the day or if we just went downstairs to go to the kitchen, get a drink, get some food, whatever, or we went and sat in the lounge, anything like that, anytime we left the room, whenever we came back up, the shower would be on. The shower would just turn itself on constantly. And our shower is like a pull around thing, so it's not like it can just drop. It's actually, because it's quite an old shower, it's actually really stiff, so you can't kind of knock it so it goes down. Literally has to be turned for it to be on. And every single time we would come back into the bedroom, the shower would have been turned on, and it would be turned on full all the way around on full blast. And yeah, that used to really freak me out, and it used to happen literally every single time. It never happened while we were in here, so that's what I didn't understand, and I tried to think of a logical reason for it, but there wasn't one. I've had loads of other random things happening. For a period of time, every night when we were in bed, the bathroom light would switch itself on. We have a main light in the bathroom and then we have spotlights, and for a few nights the spotlights would keep turning themselves on, and I'd get up, turn them off, get back into bed, close my eyes, and then I'd open my eyes and the lights would be back on again, and that would happen maybe 6 or 7 times, and I'd have to keep getting up and turning them off. Another random thing, I guess, anytime we get something new in here, say when we put our Christmas tree up, the very first night that we have our Christmas tree up, that night when we go to bed, I will always hear something playing with the baubles. The baubles will knock against each other, they'll swing back and forth, it will just be noisy, and you can tell it's the baubles, and there's no wind, we don't have the windows open down that bottom part of the room, so I don't know what else it could be, and it only happens on the first night. It's almost like whatever it is curious and likes to play with things. I actually got, I have a bag full of baubles from my Christmas tree. I actually got it out yesterday because I want to put my tree up pretty soon because I can't wait much longer. And I put the bag of baubles down the bottom of the room, and of course that whole night the bag of baubles were just, they were knocking against each other and making noise, and I couldn't sleep because of it, and I had to get up and move the bag and put it in my wardrobe because it was just freaking me out, and you don't want to hear noises like that when you're trying to sleep. When I got my fish tank, which was about a year ago, we had a little stool set up in front of our fish tank that made a certain creaking noise when you sat on it. The legs aren't that strong in it, so if you sat on it or kneeled on it, it would make a certain very specific creaking noise. And again, the very first night that we had our fish tank set up and we had fish in it, of course, while I was trying to sleep, I heard something sit on that stool. It was creaking, and obviously the ghost, whatever, was curious about the fish tank and wanted to have a look, which is quite cute, I guess, but still, no thanks. So I have so many stories and I'm not going to tell them all in this video because it would just be so long. So there's one specific incident or event, whatever you want to call it, that I wanted to talk about in this video, and I've seen a lot of things in my short 23-year-long life, but this was by far the worst and scariest thing I've ever seen. It freaked me out for a long time. I didn't sleep for a long time. I was very scared. Okay, so basically pretty much every night when we go to bed we usually see things, whether it be, you know, figures, shadows, mists. We always, every single night we see things, every single night without fail. And on this particular night I fell asleep quite easily. Usually it takes me a while, but I fell asleep pretty quick. This was about a year ago. I think it was like last November. And it was one of those nights where I wasn't really having like a solid sleep. I was kind of in and out of sleep. Every time I rolled over, I'd open my eyes. It was just one of those weird nights. That night, every time I woke up and turned over, I'd open my eyes, and every time I did that, I kept seeing something next to the bed. It was kind of like, it was just a black mass. I couldn't figure out what it was, and because I was half asleep, I didn't think anything of it. I just would roll over and try and go back to sleep again. It wasn't something that I was like, oh my god, what the hell is that? I didn't think anything of it, so I just roll over and go to sleep. But I think I probably did the whole rolling over thing for about an hour, and every single time I rolled over and opened my eyes, I would see like this black mass thing next to me. It was right next to my bed, like kind of where my feet was. It was at the side of me, so right next to me, and I just didn't think anything of it. And then eventually, still tossing and turning, just couldn't relax. I think I woke up, and I sleep on the side of the bed that's right next to the window. We've got a very big window, and some nights the moon shines in quite bright. It lights up the room, and it was kind of one of those nights, so it was quite bright in here. And I woke up and I saw my boyfriend kind of leaning over the window, almost as if he was looking out the window. And I thought, that's weird. I'm pretty sure it's like 3-4 a.m. What the hell is he doing? He must have seen something, he must have heard something. So I sat up in bed and I was like, Mike, what are you doing? Why are you looking out the window? What's wrong? What have you seen? He didn't answer me. So again, I thought that was really weird. And then Mike turned around from the window, stood up and walked towards me a little bit, and was kind of just standing there and was kind of moving around as if he was doing stuff, and I was so confused. So because I sat up even more, I put my hands to the side of me, and as I did that, I felt next to me. He sleeps on the right of me, and he was next to me. Mike was next to me, so it actually still freaks me out to talk about it. So here I am thinking that Mike's at the window, and then I feel next to me and Mike's in bed next to me. So my first thought is, oh my god, someone is in our house, in our room. What the fuck do? I tried to wake Mike up. He just wasn't really waking up. I think he was in a deep sleep. I don't know. Now, this wasn't like any old figure. It was a black figure, and it was probably about 7 foot tall. And I didn't realize it was so tall at first because it was kind of bending over onto the window, hence why I thought it was my boyfriend. But when it stood up, I kind of realized, oh, actually, I don't think that's him. I didn't know what the hell it was. It was really tall, it was really big, and it was really intimidating. So I was just in bed, kind of sitting up, staring at this 7 foot black figure that was next to me, that was moving around, doing things. I don't know what it was doing. It almost looked like it was fucking dancing. I don't know what it was doing. It was weird. I really can't even explain. I couldn't break my eyes away from what I was seeing. I kind of just froze, and I stayed there and just watched it. And if you've ever seen a figure or anything like that, I don't know if this happens to any of you guys, but I always just freeze, and I can't help but just staring at it, and I can't seem to turn away or snap out of it. It kind of locks you into this weird trance, And that's what happened with this. And so I was like locked into this trance with this big 7-foot black figure that was standing right next to me, that was moving around. And I wasn't aware of anything else that was going on. I wasn't aware if mic had sat up. I didn't try and speak. I didn't try and do anything. And it felt like that went on for ages. 5-10 minutes. This thing stayed in here for a while. This wasn't like I saw it for a few seconds and then it disappeared. That's definitely not what happened. I think it was there for probably 5-10 minutes. It was a long time that I was just staring at this thing, and eventually it walked off and it kind of fizzled out. It kind of walked towards the end of my bed down to the bottom of my bedroom down here, and it kind of just disappeared. And I was terrified, like terrified. I got up, I went to the toilet, which I was absolutely petrified to do. I actually turned the torch on my phone because I was so scared to walk in the dark. I'm someone that's scared of the dark anyway. I do not like sleeping in the dark. If I'm by myself, I have to have some sort of light on because I'm just scared of what's going on in the darkness around me. I don't like the unknown. So I turned on my torch and I went to the toilet, and then I came back, and eventually when it started to hit like morning, when it started to get light, I finally fell asleep because I guess I felt comfortable enough to fall asleep. And because I see so many things, the next morning I just thought I must have been hallucinating. I probably didn't see anything. I was probably still half asleep. I'm sure it wasn't there. So I didn't think about it. I didn't mention it to Mike. Just went on with my day, got up, started doing my makeup. While I was doing my makeup, Mike actually came over to me and just was chatting to me about random things. And he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry if I kept you awake last night. I was tossing and turning a lot, and I think I saw something, so I couldn't really sleep properly. So I'm sorry if I woke you up because I was just really agitated in bed." And I said, "What do you mean what do you mean you saw something? What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, I woke up and you were asleep next to me." And he said he looked over to the window and saw this really huge black figure, shadow, whatever you want to call it. And he said it was moving around. He said it looked like it was dancing. He said it was walking towards my side of the bed and just standing and looking at me. I don't think he said it had a face. It was literally just like a black, I don't know what you'd even call it. It wasn't see-through, it was just a black figure. That was it. It had no face, but you could kind of tell its front from its back. I don't know if that makes sense. And he said that it was walking around my side of the bed, and it was walking towards me and then walking back to the window and almost looking out the window and just moving around a lot. And he said it really freaked him out. And as soon as he told me that, obviously you have to remember at this point I thought I just hallucinated that thing, so I wasn't really letting it bother me too much because I thought I'd imagined it. As soon as he told me that, I think my face went white, my eyes started to water, and he obviously noticed that and asked me what was wrong, and I told him that I'd seen the exact same thing. And the stories we both had that we hadn't talked to each other about previously were exactly the same. We both saw this thing staring out the window. We saw it kind of moving around a lot. We saw it standing by the side of my bed. So there's no way we could both hallucinate or dream the same thing. We obviously both saw the same thing. And I think that's when I realized that what I'd seen was actually there. And that was just the scariest thing, because if you feel like you hallucinated or dreamed something, it makes it so much easier to deal with because you know it wasn't really there. But when someone comes to you and tells you that, "Oh, actually I saw this thing last night standing next to you in bed," then that means that it was actually there. And then when we were talking about it, I realized that I'd been tossing and turning a lot before I'd seen it, and I remembered that every time I woke up I saw this black thing standing next to me in bed. So then I realized that this black thing that I had seen had been standing literally right next to me, right next to my bed, next to my legs for an hour, just staring at me. And that freaked me out more than anything, because I had woken up so many times and seen this thing and not realized what it was, and just to know that it had been standing there for that long just watching me, I can't even explain to you what that feels like. And I couldn't figure out why it was on my side of the bed and why it was staring at me and why it was standing next to me. And I think that's the thing that scared me the most, because obviously it didn't hurt us or anything and nothing happened, but still what we saw was so big and so dark and so intimidating that I've never ever seen anything like that in my whole entire life. And to think that that was right next to me was just crazy. And literally probably for the next maybe month to 2 months, I slept with a lamp on every single night. Even my boyfriend, who's someone that he gets freaked out by things, but he's not someone who, if he saw something, say last night, he wouldn't let it affect him tonight. He would just get over it. He'd go to bed and he'd be absolutely fine. But even he was scared. Even he didn't feel comfortable in here by himself. He didn't feel comfortable in here without a light on, and we had to sleep with the light on for a month or two. And I just couldn't relax, I couldn't sleep, I barely got any sleep that month. That was the main time I saw that black figure thing. I did see it once again, maybe 4 months later. It was sometime after Christmas, and I woke up and I saw it standing down here, just in the middle of the room. It was just standing there. It didn't really move around this time, it just stood there. Same thing, it was like 7 foot tall, black, and after a few minutes again it disappeared, and I have not seen it since. And I hope to Jesus that I do not see it again, because that was just the most terrifying thing of my whole entire life, and I just don't want to see anything like that ever again. Now, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was evil. I have had people come in and cleanse my room. And after we had someone come in and kind of cleanse our room, whatever you want to call it, we didn't see anything for probably 5 months. We didn't see a single thing, absolutely nothing happened. It was amazing. We slept so well. It was so fantastic to not have things happening every single night, because it was taking such a toll on my sleeping. I was exhausted, and obviously that has a huge effect on your brain. You can't function properly in the day, and it was draining. So yeah, we didn't see anything for like 4 or 5 months, which was great, but obviously that didn't last forever. And the reason I'm actually making this video now is because recently a lot of things have been happening again. I haven't seen that really tall black figure, thank God. I don't want to see it, but I still see other things. There's always white figures, black figures, mists that hover over the bed, big black masses of mist. And another thing that happens literally every single night, even now, is that our bed shakes. It vibrates very strongly. It's not like just a little shake. It literally feels like someone is doing this to our bed and shaking it. And I spoke to people about it and they said, oh, maybe you're having like mini earthquakes. And I thought, maybe, but I've slept in other rooms in this house, in other beds, and it's never happened there. They've said maybe it's Mike kicking out in his sleep, shaking his legs, but it happens even when he's not here. I thought maybe it's me, but he's had it happen to him even when I'm not here, so it's happened to both of us together and individually. And it's scary when it happens, and it happens literally every single night. Every single night it shakes, and I doubt we're having mini earthquakes in the UK every single night, because no one else in the rest of the house has it happen to them. It's literally just our room. Like I said, there's so many other things that have happened. I've got a list as long as my arm, but obviously I can't talk about them. This video is already long enough as it is. I've told a few people about that story about the black figure, and they've come to me a few days later and said that they didn't sleep for 3 days after hearing that, and that it terrified them, and that they didn't sleep, they had to sleep with the light on. Yeah, it's pretty freaky. So yeah, that was the time I pretty much saw a goddamn demon. I 7-foot demon standing next to my bed for hours. Fun times. Let me know any paranormal experiences you've had, or if you've ever seen anything similar yourself. And definitely let me know if you'd like to hear of any more story times of, you know, paranormal things that has happened in this house, and I will definitely do that for you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you all in next week's video. Bye!